The film opens with a violent daylight robbery of a Fortico armored truck. A seemingly innocuous cement mixer pulls up alongside the truck, and a squad of heavily armed men emerge, swiftly overpowering the guards. In the ensuing chaos, 2 guards and an innocent bystander are brutally executed before the robbers vanish with their spoils. 3 months later, at Fortico's headquarters, Manager Terry somberly discusses the tragic event with a new security guard recruit, Patrick Hill. To fill the vacancies left by the slain guards, Hill must first demonstrate proficiency with firearms. After a grueling day of training under the watchful eye of the cynical firearms instructor, Bullet, Hill barely meets the minimum requirements, earning him the moniker H. He joins the ranks of Fortico's guards, working alongside veterans Hollow Bob and Boy Sweat Dave. Their first cash transport assignment proceeds without incident, but the following day, while H and Dave are on a routine run, they are ambushed. The robbers, communicating via walkie-talkie and holding Bullet hostage, demand the money. H appears to comply, but subtly manipulates the situation, intentionally dropping one of the money bags as a gunman steps out to retrieve it. In a sudden, decisive move, H draws his weapon and executes the gunman with a single shot to the head. He then unleashes a hail of bullets, displaying uncanny accuracy and ruthless efficiency, systematically eliminating the entire crew. He even pursues and kills their fleeing leader in a nearby building. H's extreme actions raise eyebrows at Fortico. Terry, the cautious manager, suspends him pending an internal review. However, Fortico's CEO, the ambitious Blake Halls, impressed by H's decisive action, overrules Terry and promotes H instead. H is then summoned to review security footage of the initial Fortico robbery. He meticulously studies the faces of the robbers, feigning disinterest while inwardly recognizing one of them. Unbeknownst to H, he is being observed by 2 surveillance agents who report to their superior, Agent King. They suspect H's involvement in the original robbery and believe he will unwittingly lead them to the rest of the crew. Life at Fortico returns to a semblance of normalcy for the next 3 months. Then, during a routine cash transport, H and Bullet are ambushed by a group of armed men on motorcycles. However, the would-be robbers, upon seeing H's face, abruptly abandon their attack and retreat without taking anything. Back at Fortico, Terry is perplexed by the robbers' inexplicable behavior, but Blake dismisses his concerns, further solidifying H's position within the company and offering him his own franchise. Bullet, meanwhile, voices his growing unease to Dave, sensing a dark and unsettling undercurrent to H's personality. That night, H covertly enters the apartment of a fellow guard, Dana. Discovering a hidden stash of cash, he confronts her, using strategically placed photos of her parents as leverage. Dana, terrified, confesses that she stole the money from an earlier, unreported job a few months prior. H's true motive is then revealed in a flashback sequence 5 months earlier. H is enjoying a visit with his son, Dougie, who is in town from out of state. During their outing, H receives a cryptic phone call from his former criminal associate, Mike, who requests his assistance with one final, high-stakes job. H agrees to provide logistical support without directly participating in the heist. As H and Dougie grab a bite to eat near the docks where the robbery is set to occur, the cement truck gang launches their attack. In a horrifying moment, Dougie is callously murdered by a scarred gunman as H watches in helpless despair, taking multiple bullets himself. H emerges from a 3-week coma to the devastating news of Dougie's death. His ex-wife, Jane, consumed by grief and rage, blames him for their son's tragic fate. H then meets with Mike and his crew, who, feeling a shared responsibility for the tragedy, vow to assist him in tracking down Dougie's killers. They systematically interrogate the city's criminal underworld, moving from one crew to the next, until they extract a lead pointing to a pair of notoriously ruthless brothers. H locates them, but they prove to be dead ends, offering no useful information. H, in cold calculation, executes them. H then strategically takes a job at Fortico meticulously observing his colleagues, scrutinizing their behavior, and searching for any connection to his son's murder. He instructs his assistant Kirsty to compile background checks on all the guards, along with a copy of Dougie's autopsy report. The narrative then shifts to the perspective of the original robbers, a group of disgruntled ex-military veterans, led by the hardened Jackson. Among them is Jan, the scarred gunman who murdered Dougie and wounded H. They're shown planning the initial Fortico heist during a raucous celebration. During the robbery, they encounter H and Dougie, leading to the tragic chain of events. In the aftermath of the first robbery, the crew, flush with cash and emboldened by their success, plans their next and final score, a massive $150 million heist. Bullet is revealed to be their inside informant within Fortico, providing them with crucial details about the cash transports. Weeks before the robbery, Jackson and his second-in-command, Tom, express growing concern about Jan's increasingly erratic and unpredictable behavior, fearing he might jeopardize the carefully laid plans. However, Jackson, confident in his ability to control Jan, dismisses their worries. On the day of the heist, Bullet disables the security cameras and unlocks a back entrance to Fortico's heavily fortified headquarters, allowing the crew, clad in heavy body armor, to infiltrate the facility. Inside the vault, H's hands are bound. The robbery commences smoothly at first, but when a nervous guard accidentally triggers the alarm, all hell breaks loose. The robbers blast open the vault and begin systematically executing everyone in sight. During the ensuing chaos, one of the robbers is seriously injured. As they prepare to load the stolen cash into their getaway truck, SWAT teams arrive, but are initially delayed by the robbers' strategic positioning. H, displaying remarkable resilience and combat prowess, manages to free himself and kills several of the robbers. Bullet then appears and shockingly betrays his colleagues, murdering Dana and another guard in cold blood. Dave attempts to intervene, but is also gunned down by Bullet. As Terry is forced out of hiding, H engages in a brutal hand-to-hand fight with one of the remaining robbers, eventually killing him in a bloody confrontation. The robbers retrieve their injured comrade and make their escape. Dave, despite his injuries, manages to kill the wounded robber before succumbing to his own wounds. H is then shot and seemingly killed by Bullet, who leaves him for dead. Bullet calls Dave, telling him the shooters are gone. Dave emerges and is killed by Bullet. As the robbers flee the scene, H, miraculously still alive, catches a fleeting glimpse of Jan, finally recognizing him as Dougie's murderer. The robbers smash through police barricades and lead a high-speed chase through the city streets, evading pursuing SWAT teams and police helicopters. They eventually take refuge in a secure, abandoned building with a hidden underground escape route. During their escape, Jackson is wounded in the neck by a stray bullet fired by H during the heist. As they abandon their getaway truck, Jan, in a ruthless act of self-preservation, executes Jackson. Jan and Bullet escape with the stolen money through the underground tunnel, using quad bikes to reach a waiting vehicle. However, Jan then double-crosses Bullet, killing him and making off with the entire loot. With countless escape routes at his disposal, the police are unable to apprehend him. Sometime later, Jan is relaxing in a luxurious penthouse apartment, surrounded by mountains of cash. Suddenly, his phone rings. The call originates from inside the very bag of money he stole. H appears behind Jan, tossing him Dougie's autopsy report. Confused, Jan reads the report, which meticulously details the precise locations of Dougie's fatal wounds: liver, lung, spleen, and heart. Jan looks at Dougie's photo, and the memory of H staring at him on the floor of the warehouse resurfaces in his mind. H then proceeds to inflict the same wounds on Jan, one by one, mirroring the autopsy report with chilling precision. He leaves the apartment, where he is met by Agent King, who assures him that the matter is concluded, implying the recovery of the stolen money. H then gets into a car with another man and drives away, leaving the money behind, his vengeance complete.